Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to this, your Taurus March 2025 reading and forecast. Hi, I'm Nigel Saint James, Clairvoyant. Well, I have a good deck for you this month. I think it's called Star or something. As you know, I just tie things up with string and I throw away all the associated things with it. But it does have in it, I've just looked through it, it does have some quite interesting imagery in it, which I like to point out some of it, not all of it, because we'll run out of time with this pen of mine. And of course you can take what you want from the paintings, as you are always free to do, and I'll take what I can see myself. And together we'll have it well sorted and unraveled. Now you know, of course, that I provide, as a clairvoyant readings to you, wherever you may be in the world. If you are interested, check out the details in the description, or curious, the details are in the description, and it's done over FaceTime or Skype, and it goes for about an hour and a half. Now I charge for those. I have to, I've got expenses like everybody else, but there's another thing which I offer for free, without any obligation, without anything being sold to you, without anything being recommended to you, without you being pestered with emails. Afterwards is the spiritual gift of healing. Now this takes about 45 minutes. It's also done over FaceTime and Skype, wherever you may be in the world. Hundreds of people have taken advantage of it through this channel. So if it's calling out to you, check out the details in the description. You see, it just might be that you're at your wit's end with something. You might have some emotional issue that you're struggling with. There could be some physical problem. There could be issues to do with work or relationships. Well, the object of the gift is that I must provide it for nothing, so that the beloved can extend its compassion and relief and healing to you. Now, it's nothing special about me. It's just that I happened to be one of the people at birth who got this thing, but I have to use it. I can't charge for it because that would do irreparable damage to my soul. Now, we're going to take 5 cards here. There are no advertisements in this, so you get to enjoy the content without any interruption. And let's see what there is. There is the 10 of Wands. Here is the 5 of Cups. This is the World card. What's this? The 4 of Pentacles. And finally for you, there is the 8 of Pentacles. Well, why don't you come and sit down here next to me? I'll bring the camera around. You and I can have a good close look at the paintings that are on these cards together. As I say, I'll point out a couple of things, but not much. And the cosmic energies will swirl and speak to us both while I do the reading for you. Right, well, I'm very much getting the sense of rejuvenation around you. Also, the consolation from the beloved as to just how special, how loved you really are. Let's have a look at this card first, because this would seem to indicate someone who's a bit miserable about something, would it not? I suppose in some respects this is like that, what's that thing called? I never use it, right away or something, but look, here is a set of clouds, and they seem to be raining on the person here. He's looking quite miserable. A couple of cups here. The sun is rising though, and here is the rainbow. These cups are going on to form into a river. So this water is not at all dissipated and wasted, but it is speaking of a renewal here for you in a sense as well. Now look, this is Mars. It's the 5 of Cups. Mars in the first decan of Scorpio. The 5, I have a mystical association with Mars as well, so we have a double Mars. Now, I like Mars in Scorpio because Mars is the ruler of Scorpio, but this, I'm getting a sense of a sort of a destruction around here as well. Unfulfilled expectations, something of a loss of balance perhaps, problematic relationships. This double Mars bringing this fire in is almost evaporating the waters of Scorpio, of the emotions. So there could well be some problematic relationships or unexpected well, unexpected disturbances. Maybe, I think what's happening here is that your expectations of something or someone were much too big, and some unexpected event, probably only a thoughtless reaction, has ruined them abruptly. But all this Mars energy dominating the scene now suggests to me that something has probably been smouldering beneath the surface with you for some time. Now, I suspect you've overlooked them. Maybe you didn't want to admit to their existence, and you ignored the warnings of your inner voice. But now you have to face the sobering facts and look them in the eye. What is important to understand now, though, is that every disappointment, and look, at disappointment is really a question of perspective, isn't it? It's how you look at things. But every disappointment, it does contain the learning experience from it, doesn't it? And you've got to where you are now by overcoming things in the past, and you are strong, you are intelligent, and you are experienced as a result of overcoming disappointments. Life without disappointment means that, you wouldn't be able to enjoy the good times because you'd have nothing to compare it to. Now, sometimes, because this is in the suit of cups, which is to do with relationships, sometimes to do with emotions, sometimes to do with romance, I think what's also being said here, and with this forlorn character, maybe this is in a sense how you might be feeling for a moment, but what is important here is that if you could only sense how important you are to the lives of those people that you meet, how important you can be to the people that you may never even dream of. There is something of yourself that you leave at every meeting with another person, and it is precious. I think the fact is that from within your flesh, deep within the center of your being, is the undiminished, the waiting, the longing, the all-knowing. It's ready, able, perfect within you, waiting its turn to emerge piece by piece with the dawn of every former test or trial or feeling of blackness or disappointment. These actually announce the next unfolding, the great unfurling of your wings, the remade backbone of you, a true child of light. And because I think that this is, I don't want to spend too much time on it, but I can remember a friend of mine, a lady friend of mine, saying that she had a history of making decisions very quickly about men. She said she had always fallen in love fast and without measuring risks. She said she had a tendency not only to see the best in everyone, but to assume that everyone was emotionally capable of reaching his highest potential. And she said she'd fallen in love more times than she had cared to count with the highest potential of the man. She fell in love with the potential, not who he was. And she hung on to that relationship for a long time, sometimes far too long, waiting for the man to rise up, if you'd like, to what her view was that his potential greatness may have been. The fact is that she, and I'm sure many people in romance, have been a victim of their own optimism. So I think that either some much too high expectations of yours may be crushed, or somewhere deep inside you lurks the fear of some disappointment And now is a good time to learn from this situation. But say this to yourself: I get to know my own reality by learning to see where I fool myself or where I deny my inner voice. Now, interestingly, and probably not all that coincidentally, I would say, clearly not, there's this Ten of Wands sitting on the first card that you drew. Well, of course, you can take from the art whatever you want to, of course, but here, this is a symbol saying that you have whatever strength that you want within you. This, I'd say, is the guy's third eye rolling up. And this is the divine pouring out. And this is the universe of possibilities here in front of you and the fire of the spirit within you. You have the spark of the divine. Never forget that this is Saturn in the third decan of Sagittarius, which can be a problem because, do you know, Sagittarius wants to expand and express its optimism and spiritual side. And Saturn, well, on one view, is about restriction, and so it represses the nature of Sagittarius. So there could well be, and it could well be connected with this that we've just looked at, I would say, some repressed feelings. Now there's some energy being held back, feeling of being isolated or even aggressive or vengeful. Now it's also possible that outside of emotional commitments that or situations that you feel that you might be overburdened by things, or that you've taken on too much and you're feeling the pressure. In some respects, you could also be a victim of your own circumstances, you know. Look, the Sagittarian readiness to communicate also is blocked by Saturn. There could be some fear in here. If you fear rejection, disapproval, or punishment, then you will begin to repress your own impulses. Your strength, your vitality, and your life energy in this situation, it can't be expressed. And when it's repressed, well, these energies could turn into irritation or rage and anger. And if this very hostile emotion finds no external outlet, then you might turn it in upon yourself. And this can mean that you start to talk yourself down. Well, this is calling to you to recognize and end any of this thinking and repression and restriction of your own life impulses. I suppose in some respects, this is saying that, look, you're the captain of your ship. Take responsibility for yourself and free yourself from any unjustifiable moral restrictions and limitations. And if you ask yourself, where do moral restrictions come from? Moral restrictions generally are the result of ways that we've done things forever, or traditions, and they are nothing more than the words of dead men. The words of dead men don't need to govern your life. I don't need to tell you that. Now, I suspect that it's possible that you might be, well, let me just say this, is that sometimes the things that you do for a second time around, you find that they're better and hold more value because you take the time to think about it and review and revive them through a higher love, I suppose. So don't be afraid to try again and do over with greater wisdom, a fresh set of eyes, and a renewed hope. Life is not a straight line of first successes. Life is the road that is paved with failures and disappointments. as well as successes and joys, and this is actually a very successful period for you incidentally. But when you deal with these holes in the road, you end up with more character, emotional grit, and an inner muscle to find new perspectives, don't you? And then you find, of course, that the only expiry date to your dreams, your intentions, or your goals is the one that you allow to soak into your own soul. Now remember always, and this relates also to this card here, that the shadows of life, they add depth and dimension to your journey. Like signposts along your path, they are never intended to dominate your life with darkness. And neither do they determine what your ultimate destiny is. Now, when I was a child, I had a classical education in Latin and different things from history. And of course the Romans, the ancient Romans, had emperors. Well, we might not be emperors, but the world is still constantly testing you. It asks, are you worthy? Can you get past the things that inevitably fall in your way? Will you stand up and show us what you are made of? Now, plenty of people have answered this question by saying, yes, I will stand up. But a smaller number still, they've shown that not only do they have what it takes, but they thrive and rally at every challenge. It's the challenge that makes them better than if they'd never faced the adversity at all. Now, here's more success coming your way by the looks of it, if I may say. I love that, and I love that too. We have enough time to deal properly with them. Look, I'll move through these rather quickly. Here is this Eight of Pentacles. Now, here are a couple of cosmic hands that are weaving together a blanket, which is a blanket of, well, the cosmos, I would say. And here we have the sun ruling the first decan of Virgo, 23rd of August to the 2nd of September. Look, this is really good with the sun in Virgo. Also with this number 8, because I have a mystical association with Mercury as being associated with the number 8. And Mercury, of course, we've got Virgo in the astrology. Mercury is the ruler of Virgo, and it's also exalted in it. So this is really very favorable for you. There's now a flowering of internal and external richness, a wisdom, a development of things. Maybe taking some calculated risks and being cautious, maybe quite careful with money. Some physical caution maybe being taken with things as well. You'll be very good at, women, organising fashion, hair, makeup, accessories, all that sort of thing. And this is also about just kind of going with the flow in a way, not overextending yourself or underextending yourself, but enjoying the season. Get into the sweet spot where you can see where everything is. Because now, this is speaking very much of you being with nature and deriving success. Now, as we probably were really getting at in some respects with these previous two cards here, you know that nothing retains its original form. This is also being reflected in this, I humbly submit. But nature, the goddess of all renewal, keeps altering one shape into another. Nothing at all in the world can perish. You have to believe this. Things merely vary and change their appearance.
What we call birth is just becoming a different entity. What we call death is ceasing to be that entity. There is no death. What is alive cannot die. Now, though the parts, well, they can possibly shift their position from here to there, the wholeness in nature is constant. Now, here in March, as we approach the beginning of spring, almost like in that barren time in March when you can't be sure if it's really warmer, but you're so desperate for change that you tell yourself that the mud at the edge of the sidewalk is different than winter mud. And you are sure that the smell of wet soil has suddenly a bit of scent of summer rains, of grass and drowned earthworms. And it has, because it is spring, and inside the ground something is stirring for you. Stirring for you is the reveal, the revelation of the path to success. And it's saying that, look, you don't need to sprint along here. You need time and patience to develop something. Don't rush it as it's a long-term thing, and be prepared to bide your time and just let it come into fruition in its own way. This is also telling you you're on the right path. Continue doing what you're doing, because it is going to lead to success. Look, that which is coming into you now is of exquisite beauty and delicacy. So provide for it the protection and the nourishment that it needs. You don't actually have to force anything. Everything is unfolding now at its proper time. It is saying, though, are you giving yourself the proper protection and nourishment and exercise that you need? It may not be apparent to you, but I think that things around here are unfolding that are leading you to your destination. You are going to need to put in some dedication, some focus and some patience to get this thing happening that you've got in mind. But as time is passing, you just get closer and closer. Sow the seeds, do what's necessary, and watch the things grow and come up on the field so that you can go in and reap the harvest. Now, let's have a look at this, shall we? I just kind of like the picture of that. You, as I say, take what you want to from the thing. Here I see these turtles. They refer to Mother Earth. Turtles come onto land to lay eggs, don't they? Here's this woman in here holding this earth itself. This is the tree of life, and this is like the victory wreath around it. So victory, success, and abundance coming to your way. Love and fulfilling relationships. This square at the back, which has got the symbols for the different elements, talks about great material power as well. And this is being reflected, when we get to it briefly, by this. But anyway, here we have the need for you just to tie off a few loose ends of things. I think that you're now coming to the point where you can kind of look at yourself and other people, incidentally, particularly people who may have disappointed you, as we were talking about. You're going to be able to look at them as they really are. And I think that you're kind of thinking, look, the character that I've created myself, the image, maybe it's time for you to do a remake of yourself, to do a makeover of yourself. Pick out some new clothing, different hairstyle, different colour, something like that, I think. Now, there will be the completion of a project, but this was heralded by this, and I think that you see, your efforts are finally paying off. You might think it has been a long, hard haul to date, but you are almost there. And this was telling you you're in the right direction. This is telling you to finish what you've started. And I think that you are learning to take control of your own destiny, and you've got the power of your will to get results. Now, in a sense, I think, let me have a look at this painting. So fruitful. Looks like a big, I know I've called it the tree of life, but it looks like a big flower. Well, there's the magic of your larger, blooming, flowering life. It has been trying to reach you, pouring through the cracks, seeping up through the ground around you. It doesn't have any particular aim, except for one: to save you, to bring back to that dry desert that you might have become, to bring back to that desert the moist oasis of midnight wine and pillow talk. Furthermore, I think that there is within you going to be an instinct for newness, for renewal, for a liberation of creative power. I think you are going to look to awaken in yourself a force which really changes your life from within. And yet, the same instinct tells you that this change is a recovery, it's a rediscovery of that which is deepest, most original, and most personal in yourself. It's almost like a call, like this woman here, to be birthed out of this, to be born again. But to be born again for you is not to become somebody else, but to become yourself. And then finally, I think it is finally, isn't it? Yes, look at this here. And I'll deal with this rather quickly, perhaps. And, well, this looks like some sort of a window that we're looking through here. This dragonfly is guarding the window. This is the Son of the Divine on the purity in the waters here. Here are the elements set out. This is speaking of tremendous power for you at the present time. What was going on with that light there? It's all, it seems to be working now. The Sun in Capricorn, the third decan, I would suggest, the 13th to the 21st of January. Well, Capricorn is speaking to me for you of, look, your sun sign, Taurus, with Venus in it. Your sun sign is the signification of your personal power. And Capricorn is actually then applying that power in a really useful way, because Capricorn is about, like you, it's about getting the good things in life. I mean, you're the poster child for the good things in life. But there's a great degree of actually making things happen, and I suspect you're probably getting to enjoy the good things of life, like sex, food, great clothes, makeup, fast cars, perhaps. There's very strong foundations here for material stability. And, but you might be being, just as this was saying as well, you could well be being quite financially cautious, saving for the future, protecting yourself is what I'm getting. There's also a desire, I think, because this is looking at a very different scene to that which we see in ordinary life. So you may have a desire in some small way to change the world, but in order to change the world, you know that you must first change yourself. in order to have the right to see what is wrong with the world, will you first earn that right by seeing what is wrong with yourself. And I say that with the greatest of respect. You see, you have now the opportunity here to become an influencer, a leader, a teacher. But you do not become influencers, leaders, or teachers by pulling on your better attributes and applying those better attributes to a broken world like some sort of a small bandage or a healing balm. Rather, you will become an influencer or a teacher in this world at this time by performing within yourself the purging that you want to see take place in others. Now, in some respects also, by doing this and by looking through there, it's almost as if you are kind of looking into eternity. Now, in the broader scheme of things, I think that really shining moments, as I might call them, they are as brief as the twinkling of an eye. Yet such twinklings are what eternity is really made of. Moments when you can say, I love you, I'm proud of you, I forgive you, I'm grateful for you. That is what eternity is made of. Invisible, imperishable, good stuff like that. Well, I won't go on because I'm mindful of your time, and may I say, what a very interesting spread of cards for you. Made so much better for you being here.
Extremely interesting artwork, wouldn't you say? Beautiful, I think. Now, unless I see you in the meantime, either for a clairvoyant reading or for healing, then I'll see you here again next month. Until then, though, remember one thing, and it is this, that you are a legend. And I look forward to seeing you again next month. And until then, it's bye for now.